Hare Krishna devotees. Welcome all of you for the morning hearing session. We'll start with the prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We'll continue with the lecture of Gopala Bhatta Goswami. Hare Krishna.
Wrote in two of his three literatures this verse asking the prayer, requesting with a straw of the street in his teeth, with great humility and submission, requesting dust from the feet of Rupa Goswami birth after birth. So fully um, in a mood of looking up to Rupa and Sanatan, although they themselves, virtuous and pure in devotion, were looked up to by many others, but they're looking up to Rupa and Sanatan. And Rupa and Sanatan, of course, are looking up to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's looking up to Radha and Krishna. That's our disciplic succession method. And we are also wise to be looking up to our, as he explained in the previous verse, at the feet of the six Goswamis, placing ourselves at their feet. Placing ourselves at the feet of someone means it's a mood of devotion, it's a mood of humility and submission, and it's also a wish to be in service to them, a wish to be an instrument of their mission, which is Lord Chaitanya's mission, which is exactly what he said to both Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. Stay in their association and assist them. And assist them in, they can't write the books for them, but they can hear from them and repeat the message and propagate the message of Krishna consciousness and live by it. Although none of the six, they didn't leave Vrindavan. They didn't leave Vrindavan. It's not the same, but it's something similar. Is our Jananivas Prabhu. Many of you know who Jananivas is, and you probably also know he's in a hospital in Calcutta with cancer, some kind of cancer. I was thinking to find out today what's the update, but for the longest time, for a few decades, he never left Mayapur. He didn't have a vow, a Kshatra Sannyas vow, like Gadadhar Pandit had. He had a Kshatra Sannyas vow, and then he left. You know that story? No? You know who Gadadhar Pandit is? Okay, so Gadadhar Pandit was, from childhood, was deeply attached to Nimai Pandit. Except Nimai Pandit had a tendency in his childhood to be a wrangling scholar. He'd just debate and debate and debate and debate and always win. And he would debate Gadadhar, and Gadadhar would run away. But he was too attached, he couldn't run away, and he had to run away because he couldn't stand this argumentation thing. When Lord Chaitanya took initiation and became a devotee, Gadadhar was so happy. And when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, he took sannyas and went to Puri to be with Lord Chaitanya. And when he reached Puri, by Lord Chaitanya's arrangement, he discovered, he stayed in a remote place because he was um, like that. He liked privacy or solitude. But he found in the earth the Gopinath deity. Lord Chaitanya assigned him, you worship the Gopinath deity and recite Srimad Bhagavatam. So when Lord Chaitanya wanted to go to Vrindavan, Gadadhar Pandit had taken a vow to never leave Puri, Kshetra Sannyas, never leave the holy Dham, never leave the holy Dham. Inder was a little like that too, but Inder had to leave a little bit just to get his visa extended. But Kshetra Sannyas, he didn't leave Puri. But when Lord Chaitanya wanted to go to Vrindavan, Gadadhar Pandit left Puri. He didn't travel with the thousands that were with Lord Chaitanya. He traveled separately. Because Lord Chaitanya found out he's traveling along with us, but in a separate path. So he called for him, and Gadadhar Pandit came. He said, "You've broken a vow. You know that's sinful. You don't make vows and then break vows, and it's implicating me because you left because of me." So Gadadhar Pandit said, "I haven't broken my vow. Wherever you are, that's the holy Dham." And Lord Chaitanya said, "But you know, your following me is going to bring ill fame to me for causing you to break your vow." And he said, "Wherever you are is Vrindavan. And besides, I'm not traveling with you. I'm at some distance." So Lord Chaitanya said, "Enough. You've already broken your vow. Now you go back to Puri." He was smashed because he can't violate Lord Chaitanya's instruction, but he can't be without him either. So he was smashed. And he fell to the ground, weeping. Lord Chaitanya crossed the river and left him on the other side of the river, weeping and weeping and weeping. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya picked him up and comforted him and said, you're such a recipient of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. There's no devotee in the world like you." And he accompanied him back, going back to Puri. So Gadadhar had a very strong attraction for Lord Chaitanya's association, so much so that when Lord Chaitanya returned to Puri, we heard this, if you were listening to the Sanatan Goswami, the first evening, Sanatan Goswami made some advice. I mean, how can you give advice to the Supreme Lord? But he gave advice, best to not enter Vrindavan with thousands of people. As a sannyasi, you're on pilgrimage, and best to enter alone as a renunciate, or at most with one assistant. So Lord Chaitanya considered, and the next day he made up his mind, I'm going back to Puri, I'm going to leave everybody in Puri, and then I'll go alone. When he went back to Puri, he said two things. I was so moved by the expressions of humility of Rupa and Sanatan. I can't stop thinking about them. I mean, he doesn't want to stop thinking about them, but his mind is filled with reciprocal love for their love for him and their extreme humility. And the other thing he said is, Gadadhar, please give your permission that I can go to Vrindavan. Because if you can't go to, I couldn't leave for Vrindavan with your being so unhappy. If you give your permission, I can then go to Vrindavan. So Gadadhar was both ashamed and jubilant and said, just stay for another 2 weeks or so, whatever, some period of time, and let me cook for you every day. Okay. So then he went to Vrindavan. But Lord Chaitanya was attached to those who were attached to him naturally, transcendentally. And Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and for that matter, each of them, their attachment for Lord Chaitanya was otherworldly, and their humility was otherworldly. Now, what I mean is, for those involved in spiritual life, knowledge and detachment are valued. Jnana Vairagya. It's throughout the Vedas. So where's the Vairagya where they can't live without Lord Chaitanya? It's a transcendental attachment that's not like only okay, but it leads to material detachment. It's the replacement for material attachment, is spiritual attachment. And they were deeply attached. And because of that deep attachment, they had deep emotions, and they had deep realizations of the philosophy, not just superficial or cosmetic or armchair understanding of the philosophy, but profound realization of the philosophy. And thus, like with Raghunath Bhatta, just by singing the Bhagavatam, it wasn't just beautiful sounding, it was his voice. Now, I don't know if any of you, I could ask, but I won't. Anyway, the Sad Goswami Astaka, at the very beginning, before I came here to Phoenix, I had made a request. Please listen to those recordings. There's 2 different melodies of Prabhupada singing the Govinda, the Goswami Astaka, Sad Goswami Astaka. And just hearing Prabhupada's voice, you can, the intensity of affection and devotion Prabhupada is feeling you can cut it with a knife. It's very thick. So I'm making that comparison to Raghunath Bhatta. When he would sing, the devotees would just sit around and hear him sing, because it was with such purity of devotion, fully invested, not just musically attractive. I remember way back, it's just some sharing, the good old days sharing. There was a period of time when there wasn't a BBT. Before there was a BBT, there was ISKCON Press. And then after some time, Prabhupada set up a trust, a book trust, for his own reasons, to protect the intellectual property. In case there was some risk that went to the corporation with its physical assets, the intellectual assets were protected. That was the intention. Because there's laws that for so many, many, many years, after the life of a celebrated writer, it's protected by law, intellectual property. Then it goes into the public domain after a certain number of years. So he wanted to set up so it was legally protected. But before it was legally protected, it was ISKCON Press. And what that meant was the devotees who were involved with ISKCON Press just stayed in the ISKCON temple. And initially, ISKCON Press was in Boston. After some years, it shifted to a larger facility in New York. And when I first joined the Boston temple, the first temple that I lived in, and then later was shifted to New York, ISKCON Press shifted to New York. So one of the persons who was and still is, a very creative artist in the art department was Bharadwaj, Prabhupada disciple named Bharadwaj. And Bharadwaj had he was a virtuoso in singing. And he would listen and, in his own voice, sing the melodies that Prabhupada sang. Before bhajans became popular, it's certain, like Agni Dev and other Badahari and others made bhajans popular in ISKCON. But way before them was Bharadwaj, and his singing voice was just fantastic. And it's like a very strong memory. He would sit in the back of the temple room and sit, with his harmonium and sing for hours, and you would recognize the melodies, and he was like absorbed in Prabhupada's voice and Prabhupada's mood, and it was really nice. But I'm just sharing. I was thinking, it just, you can't match Prabhupada's bhakti, because not only the way that if you listen carefully to how he would play the keyboard on the harmonium, the pitter patter of children. Your wife is looking after it. Listen to when you get a chance. Please listen to the recordings of the Sad Goswami Astaka. It will help enrich your experience of what we've been doing for 6 days. Listen to the keyboard. Along with the words of the song and the Prabhupada's voice. Just listen to the keyboard and how he plays on the keyboard. It's really magical. Really magical. And then his voice, and then the meaning of the words, and he would sing according that his voice inflection would go according to the meaning of the words. I'll end with this. I had the opportunity as a temple commander during one of Prabhupada's visits to observe Prabhupada's activities in the evening, and very regulated. The building was a double brownstone. No, in our modern context, it's like a townhouse, but a double townhouse. But a brownstone means it was actually stone, really genuine stone, not just cladding, but the building was stone, and really thick walls. And the Prabhupada's, when you walk up like 5 steps or 6 steps, and then you're in the front door, and just to the left is the temple room. Was really big space, and in the back was the pujari room and the storage for the deities' paraphernalia. That was one half of the building. And the other half of the building was Prabhupada's quarters, the same on that ground floor, or just above walk-up area. So the front room was this really big space, as big as a temple room. And then the back space was his quarters and his servants' quarters and stuff like that. Every evening, very regulated, at around 9 o'clock, Prabhupada would get up from his room, go to the front room. It was just him and his harmonium, this big space, and he would sing bhajans for about 20 minutes. He would just absorb himself in a mood of whatever the bhajan was. And he had ones that he liked and would often sing. I don't know those details. There's some that know more of those details, but it was part of his devotional expression, part of his mood of offering devotion to Krishna and Krishna's devotees, just like this, offering expressions of love to the Goswamis and those who are dear to the Goswamis, appealing for the dust from their feet, lifetime after lifetime. And he meant it. It was nice poetry, but it wasn't just nice poetry. It was his dedication. And that's a lesson that I hope that you can receive from this time we've been spending together on this topic, is these are very important persons for us, for as a immediate connection with Lord Chaitanya. Of course, we often hear in Chaitanya Charitamrita about the importance of Lord Nityananda as the person to make the connection with Lord Chaitanya, and the six Goswamis.
Hare Krishna devotees, we'll pause here. Any devotee wants to share any comments from this lecture, please do so, devotees. Yes, sir, Bari Maharaji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Very beautiful lecture. What I particularly liked was the rasa shared between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, and also between Gadadhar Pandit and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That was really very nice, that story of Gadadhar Pandit, where he took a different route and then he was scolded by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for breaking his vow. That was very nice. And in the same lines, it is very beautiful to see the relationship between our Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, how he was appreciating Srila Prabhupada singing bhajans every day when he was attending to him during the evening. So that part was also very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thanks for sharing. Hare Krishna. Any other devotees would want to share any other points, questions from this lecture? Anakeshwar Prabhu, yes, Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, regarding this book trust, how Prabhupada has very vision on that. Initially, it was like book trust, then he made a intellectual property with all for future safety. That descriptive how Maharaj explained, I like very much, Prabhu. How Prabhupada has that vision. Thank you, Prabhu.
Nice, Prabhu. It was a press, Prabhu. It's called press first, and then Prabhupada established it as a book trust. Okay, book trust. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Any other devotees? Kumarika Mataji, you want to add something from this lecture?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Chaitanya.
I was reminded of a anecdote which I read about in, I think, Leelamrita of Srila Prabhupada, that once some devotees were playing this Sadgo Swami Ashtakam, rendering by Srila Prabhupada in their book. They used to have a book distribution, small kiosk like thing, and where because they had gone for the Kumbh Mela to attend. There they got some space, and in that tent they used to keep the books and arrange. And in the background, this Shad Goswami Ashtakam was playing. And one man was coming near that. He was not trying to buy the books. They tried him. He said no. And he was but standing there loitering. Again and again, they saw this man. He is there constantly. They got, maybe he wants to steal something. They were a little bit suspicious also. And they were trying to ask him, why are you standing here? Then someone who was from the South India, they recognized him and said, he's a great singer called Balamurali Krishna. So please don't be upset that he's standing here. Then they said, this song, who has sung this song? And they said, our Guru Maharaj. he said this sort of um, expression can only come from a pure soul. I was appreciating his voice. See, he's a great exponent of music that we know, but he could feel the pure devotion in Prabhupada's voice, and he said that he's such a great pure soul. The way he has sung it, I liked it so much, so that's why I'm standing here. So I was reminded when he was Maharaj was talking about Prabhupada's rendering. If you listen to it, it will be of help to you. Then I was remembering this, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks a lot, Mataji, for sharing this particular anecdote. Yes, Paji Maharaj repeatedly in this lecture, I think even in the previous lectures of the Goswamis, Maharaj was mentioning about listening for us, for practicing devotees, to listen to the Shat Goswami Ashtakam, which has composed by Srila Prabhupada. So that is one takeaway for us, which we can hear. Yes, man, that is nice. And Maharaj, Maharaj very nicely explained how Srila Prabhupada's activities were so regulated. He observed him very carefully in the temple when he was there in New York. Very nice. So particularly Maharaj is connecting to this particular lecture of this particular mood of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami of him singing the Srimad Bhagavatam, comparing it to how Srila Prabhupada was singing the Shad Goswami Ashtakam, and also in this temple where he observed Prabhupada singing at exactly 9 p.m., very regulated, 9 p.m., 20 minutes of bhajan. Thank you, Mataji. Any other devotee would want to share something else?
Oh, Hemasundari Mataji is asking you to be a bit louder. Maybe
I
you
don't know.
come closer to the microphone of your phone or
Okay.
laptop.
Okay, bro. Sorry, is it better now?
Well, to me, it's the same. It's fine with
Okay.
me, but I don't know. You, Hemasundari Mataji can tell better.
Okay, bro.
It was little low all the time, but yeah, that even the
The
YouTube
record,
is
I don't know if the recording is low, but whatever Vivek Prabhu played was also low, and his voice is also very low, Prabhu. I'm not able to concentrate when we are doing multiple things.
yeah, that is there. I just have one question. Why Mahaprabhu left Gadadhar Pandit crying and he left him in that situation? I mean, he is completely dependent upon him. Is there something a message that uh, vow should not be broken even if you have to go with the supreme? But going with the supreme is is the most important duty instead of keeping vow. I'm not really very clear. One thing is um, vow is important than being with this supreme lord, and second thing is why did he leave him crying, not console him like uh, some something like that. If there is any thought about it.
Shamkun Prabhu, you want to take this question, Prabhu, please?
I can. Others, if you can answer, then after that, I'll just give him some thoughts.
Okay, Prabhu. You can go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Maji Kumari.
Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very strict with sannyasis and their austerities, etc. He did not want that somebody will take their vows lightly if Gadadhar Pandit is encouraged to give up his Kshetra sannyas vow. And not that he was not unaware of his misery. When he came back on the advice of Sanatan Prabhu, he did say, I cannot go when you are so unhappy. You have to give me permission to go. So so when willingly, when you say that I can go, then only I can go to Vrindavan. So even though he is very much aware of the devotees' devotion to him, but he is at the same time, he didn't want to. Even with Chota Haridas incident, it is very clear that for sannyasis, he wanted them to be very strict with whatever vows and austerities that they are taking.
Thank you, Mataji. Chaitamaji, is that okay with you, Mataji?
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. But how should we understand it? Like, we 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 really don't take our vows that seriously. It's a matter of life and death. And then there is a point we think that everything has one objective, going to the Supreme Lord, being near to him. I can understand with your answer that why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did what he did. But shall we take it in the same way, or it is different for us?
Mataji, it is our willpower or our control over the mind, which is very, very important for even us to progress. When we take up an austerity or a vow and we don't keep it, we are defeated by our mind. And the next time it will be more difficult. The mind will become more stronger and defeat us more easily. So every time we break some little, when we can withstand the calling of the mind to you break it, mind will give you several reasons for breaking it, very all justified and bona fide. It will appear, but if we do not break it, then you are able to conquer your mind a little bit better the next time. The mind will also be a little bit quiescent to you. So that is for every type of yoga, including bhakti yoga, the control over the mind is important. So for us also, if we do it properly, then that will be easier for us to build up our mental uh, strength, Mother.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. It's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Kumar Mataji. Shakur, just 1 or 2 points before you speak, Prabhu. Don't mind. Yes, so just from the lecture, Prabhu, yeah, some qualities of Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami. One is their attachment. All the Goswamis, no, not only him. So their attachment and humility. So these are some crest jewels. So which can aspire for. That is one. And the attachment is, Maharaj mentioned, the spiritual attachment, and that's a replacement to the material attachment. So that's one more thing which I like, Prabhu. And Maharaj mentioned how Raghunath Bhatta was always looked up to Srila Rupa and Srila Sanatana Goswami. And that's how, as practicing sadhakas, we need to look up to our seniors. We need to place ourselves at the dust of their lotus feet. And what does that mean? That means humility, submission, and rendering of service to them. So these are some key takeaway points for me, at least, Prabhu. Thank you. Yes, Prabhu, you can go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Yeah. Hemasundari Mataji, is Harisham Prabhu on the call?
No, Prabhu, he's sick actually. Past 3 days, he's sick.
Okay. One of the points which Maharaj made in the call, in the lecture today rather, was explaining the notion of following the footsteps of other devotees. And in that, he mentioned how one has to be a servant, trying to fulfill the wishes of the other person. For most of us, it seems to be a very, very tall order. Why? And it's not just a tall order, it is something that we rebel against it also. It's a tall order, firstly, for some people, because we have so many of our own desires, our own aspirations. You can call, I'm not trying to label it as material or spiritual. Maybe it could be a spiritual aspiration too, to uh, s- to give prominence to the aspirations of others, or including one's own spiritual master or great devotees like Srila Prabhupada, and do something for him rather than for our own selves is stuff. What most people end up doing is that they take one aspiration of Srila Prabhupada which resonates with them, with their own mood, and then they work on it. Like, say, for example, the book distribution marathon is coming up. Some people like to meet people, and some people like the sales aspect of it. Some people like the multiplication factor, which is you sell 10 books today and you just keep working on it. In a month's time, it's not just 300 books, it could be 500 books. For some people, it is opening more centers. Some people, it is deity worship. For most people, what they do is they try to substantiate their own liking with, and they find that subset which is with what the acharyas have said, what Srila Prabhupada has said, and say, I am doing this for Srila Prabhupada. But it's usually that what I like, I'm doing most of the time. And there are other individuals who say, I don't know whether Prabhupada likes it or not. I don't know whether the acharyas like it or not, but I like to do it and I will do it. Uh, one example in this category could possibly be the kirtan kind of a thing. People come up with various kirtan ragas and say, oh yeah, this raga is nice, that raga is nice. I'd like to sit in front of deities and sing in this way. So these are called as the dovetailing. We dovetail our desires to match something which is there in the spiritual world. That is one level or one way to do it. But what Maharaj was talking about with Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Gadadhar Pandit, and others is that the wish of Mahaprabhu is, or the Supreme Lord comes first, and that of his other devotees. And it's a very, very tall order. Why? Because even if you don't give try to give uh, an alibi that, or a fait accompli, or maybe you can even call it as an excuse that this is what Prabhupada wanted. Some people don't even go as far as it is required. They just say, I like it. Like say, for example, I'm right. I like to not. I like to. I would chant my rounds. I would read the books, but I also need to play badminton for 3 hours a week. That's what keeps me up and running. It may not be related to Shastra, but that's what I like. People say that. I'm not saying yes or no to any of these. I'm just making an observation of the levels or the situation where we are at. However, what is required to go to the highest stage is a certain level of sacrifice, saying what you want is what I want, or what you want is what I'd like to fulfill it. I may have my desires, I may do it, may not do it, but I definitely want to fulfill your desires. And this requires that whether one has taste or one doesn't have taste, one does it. And as one engages in it, one gradually gets taste, especially in the spiritual realm. The limit of it is actually being done by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Not everybody wanted to take part in the mission of protecting the institution of ISKCON in one sense. But a lot of them felt Srila Prabhupada in his last days put so much effort into protecting ISKCON. They felt, yes, there is my spiritual life. Institutions come and go, but they tried their best to see to it that the values of Srila Prabhupada are still enshrined in ISKCON. And so their own, even though their own nature was against just doing something at an institutional level, but they did it because of the love for the spiritual master. And that is something which we all need to look at it very carefully. In fact, their love for the spiritual master goes even higher. It is said, and Hema Sundari Mataji, you can relay this to Harisham Prabhu. It was something in relation to question he had on this portion, if you are listening. It is said that, there are various stages of bhakti. There is the Vaidhi stage of bhakti, where one follows the rules and regulations, which gradually morphs into Raga Marga, which is still Vaidhi Bhakti only. It's a different phase of the sadhana. It's still a phase of sadhana bhakti only. It gradually morphs to the Raga Marga, where one likes to do it and does it. But then the general point that is being said is, if you want to learn ABC, you go to a school and learn. Then for sadhana bhakti, at least, like, even in this our group as such, we try to say, okay, you do sadhana bhakti, you chant so many rounds, you read these many books, and you write the answers to these questions, you get ready for initiation, then you serve in this particular way, etc., etc. At least some guidance is being given. If not at the level of holding a child's hand and doing it, at some level it is given. But a question comes out: what is the guidance given for Raga Marga? The following in following the principle of following the footsteps of previous acharyas. Some of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, uh, one prominent guru who comes to mind is Bhakti Charu Maharaj. He was so much absorbed in it that he felt, I need Srila Prabhupada back. I want to go back to him. If I have to progress further in Raga Marga, I don't want to go anywhere else. It's okay for me to wait for another birth. Because they were so confident of their stature in devotional service that they knew what if another birth, what is 10, 15 years, and then Prabhupada or their guru would come back in their life. So for them it was, I want to hear more from Srila Prabhupada. I don't want to stay away from Srila Prabhupada. So to that extent was their fidelity that they said, let me give up this body and I'm done with this, whatever is to be done, but I need Prabhupada to come. I need to learn from him in person. I want to assist him in whatever he's doing next. Even the goal of going back to Godhead was secondary to assisting Srila Prabhupada. That was the extent which great devotees like Bhakti Charu Maharaj exemplified. In other words, for most of us, or not most of us, some of us, we are accomplishment driven. Why? Either because we see others are accomplishing, I am not accomplishing it. That is coming from the platform of enviousness. Others are doing it, I am not doing it. Or there is the modern day phrase FOMO, the fear of missing out. Others, maybe I will miss it out on this life. If I should get it. And we also substantiate it from scripture saying, what is the main thing that is required to go back to Godhead? Laulyam. We need laulyam. The greed has to be intense. We have to accomplish something in this life itself. But in doing so, we often forget, or some of us forget it, that the laulyam should be in relation to those devotees who have played a role in our life. What is the value of something without those devotees who have played some role? And when I say those devotees, some of them are those whom we have met in this life and some whom we have read in this life. For example, we read a lot about Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, etc. Each of us may have a particular liking, and we may feel, come what may, I want to be in this parampara. That attraction may come at some point in time. And that is the goal of our sadhana, that I get connected to Rupa and Sanatana, or Raghunath Das, or Raghunath Bhatt, or Gopal Bhatt, or anybody else, like say Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, anybody in the lineage, Narottam Das Thakur. Anybody there? We have never met them in person, but we have heard them, their realizations. We have lived with them with their realizations. So it's important that the proper devotional culture is that we live and aspire to be in relation to those whom we have got attracted in some way or the other, luckily, and also do whatever they want. Maybe you may find something which Ranattam Das Thakur wants. Maybe you may find something which Prabhupada wants, or any of his followers want it. It's imperative that we do something there, and that gives a new level of realization. Or to say it differently, we don't do it just because it gives a new level of realization. It is just staying in the relationship. Like a mother doesn't do something to a child because she's definitely going to get out of it. It is just to see the smile in the face of the child. That's it. And we need to expand this uh, family relationship to a bigger level, and it takes time. And each of us have our own stumbling blocks. Why? Because for some of us, we haven't accomplished anything major in our life. We feel, let me accomplish something by my own. Then I can help others also accomplish. Always working for others. What do I gain? And more so for people who have not developed the taste, when they work just for fulfilling others, a sort of resentment builds up in the heart that I did sacrifice so much. What did I get? Nothing. So that kind of a problem is also there. And therefore, one needs guidance from a nice devotee to see how to take it forward. Too much of sacrifice makes the heart hard. No sacrifice doesn't give us the mercy of Radha and Krishna. If we always try to be in the middle and do not uh, extend ourselves further, then we get into complacency. What to do? So if any of you have any thoughts on it, please do type it out in the chat group today. That's it.
Thanks a lot, Prabhu. Thank you so much for giving all your valuable points. How we need to get into the mood of fulfilling the desires of our seniors, that we need to get to that position somehow. What you want is what I want to fulfill. I like that phrase, Prabhu. Thanks a lot. Any other devotees would want to add something, final comments, or we'll pause for today? Okay, we'll pause. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, षड् गोस्वामी की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंद